Welcome to PeepSec. I'm David, the Chief Product Officer at CybSafe. Today I'm joined by Shak. Shak is the Security Culture and Awareness Analyst for Tide. Prior to this, she has worked in the financial crime and KYC space. Shak has also studied law and worked as a Met Police Special Constable. More recently, she made the Women in FinTech Power List 2020 as a rising star. Welcome to PeepSec, Shak.
Thanks for having me.
Having recently moved into the Cyber InfoSec space, what inspired the move?
I think for me, the variety that the cybersecurity space has to offer. So I'm currently in a non-technical role, so Security Culture and Awareness Analyst, which is awesome. But then there's also technical roles as well that's available. I like the fact that my career can go in any direction. If I wanted to become a threat detection engineer, I could later down the line. If I wanted to become an AppSec engineer, I could. If I wanted to stick within the governance space as a non-technical security professional, I can do that too. Just, it opens up so many doors. So I was really curious to see what the cyberspace has to offer. We always hear about phishing, buzzwords like ransomware, malware, Trojans. What do these all mean? And so I really wanted to kind of delve a bit deeper into, what do these mean and how do they affect me as an individual?
In an awareness and culture role, you're presumably quite heavily focused on people. What is it about people that you find so interesting?
The fact that people misunderstood. I absolutely love the fact that not everyone is the same, that we take information in differently. What we're exposed to might affect people in different ways. So I enjoy creating content that will be impactful for various different people, whether it be a simple written piece, it could be like visual content, it could be animations, anything that can really strike home and help to actually encourage behaviour changes. So I love about people. Just, you have one advert and it can really impact you in different ways. It could strike an emotional response out of some people, an angry response out of others. Just, yeah.
Well, what do you think are the challenges of catering for people that come in so many different varieties and need things in different ways? How do you go about even thinking or creating the content to help with that challenge?
Weirdly, I kind of model it on myself in that I get pretty much bored quite quickly. My attention span is pretty short. And in the organisation I've worked for, security awareness, even financial crime training, anti-bribery and corruption, it's all been kind of regulatory tick box exercises. So you tend to have PowerPoint presentations or someone speaking over the content, and it's just mind-numbing. You're not really taking it in. So because of that, I really wanted to avoid that being the norm, and I wanted to try and shake things up. Like, what would someone like me, who has a short attention span, like to see? I want to see graphics. I want to see maybe GIFs. I want to hear variations of different tones. I want to see different colours. I want something to just be short and sweet, but get to the point, So that's what I try to do in my day-to-day, just try to create hilarious pieces as well, just to get people laughing as well. It doesn't have to be particularly serious, just serious, but it can be serious with a funny end.
And if you had a magic wand, what would you do to conquer this and have the best possibility of changing the attitudes towards this and genuinely help people?
Similar to actually what CybSafe is doing, just helping content creators understand that we're all humans, right? And we all do make mistakes. It's not about telling people off. It's just about helping, educating people. So the example I want to give is we've all probably crossed the road without waiting for the green symbol to light up and let us know it's safer to cross. We do a mini risk assessment and then we decide it's probably safe to run across. We know it's not the right thing to do, but some of us still do it anyway. What's interesting is that we don't really understand the wide impact that could have if that doesn't go in our favour. So think about you running across the road, and let's say you don't make it across the road, or it results in an accident. You've got to consider the fact that somebody has witnessed that, so that's potentially trauma on eyewitnesses, trauma on the driver, potentially passengers, incident response, being the police in this example, needs to come down and do something. You've got to think about those who might be influenced by you, who might you're leading by example. So you just got to just bear in mind that we might not understand the bigger picture to our actions, and that's kind of what security awareness content should be about, just not telling people off, but just helping people understand that actually you do this thing, this probably poor security behaviour could have this impact, but trying to encourage people to just have better security best practices.
So it sounds like empathy has a huge part to play. What do you think we need to do as security professionals to help the people we're trying to help understand that we're coming at things from a place of empathy?
That's a great question. I really do think it's about not treating people as company assets and really just treating people as people. The security awareness professionals are people too, who will be in receipt of smishing, so, smishing texts and phishing email. We receive them too. So let's just bear in mind that other people might just not have that security mindset as we do as professionals, and just help them along their way to help change their security best practices. Just human to human, level to level. As we're doing now, having a conversation, you can really have a conversation with colleagues the same way.
What differences do you see between people that have been in their careers for longer and the latest generation coming through, and based on those differences, what different things are you doing to cater for and adapt and to be as effective at helping these different people as possible?
So, generations that are coming through to the workforce now have kind of grown up with technology. My generation, I grew up with like a Nintendo 64 and just kind of getting into the internet, maybe aged around 10. But this generation, they're really exposed to the internet from early, which means they have a wide access to information from pretty early on. You've got social media platforms like TikTok and Snapchat that are just like spitting out fast, creative content. And so as a workplace, I think it's really important that we adapt to that style that they're exposed to in their personal lives, just so it hits home. So where we're moving from the traditional PowerPoint presentation or instructor-led in-house training with a few props and opportunities for a tea break, now we've got to make sure that we are touching on the fact that people do have short attention spans, that people's workloads have generally increased. We're all competing, all different departments, InfoSec, financial crime, compliance, all competing for people's time as well as a product to deliver or, whatever your kind of work project is. So we just need to make sure that we're using that time well. So what I do is various different kind of fun, creative InfoSec type of initiatives. So we do have the kind of LMS training element, which is a PowerPoint presentation with some cool features. But then also to keep the awareness up day to day, we've got like a security channel where we post in interesting, relevant security happenings. So it could be breaches. So cool articles like that for those people who like to know what's going on in the wider world. We also do bi-weekly InfoSec insight discussions where we invite people across the business to present on a security-related project. And again, it's kind of interactive. We keep it to 15 minutes only, so it doesn't kind of spill over into a whole meeting and you feel like it's just kind of bite-sized information. We did loads for Security Awareness Month. We've got speakers in, physical security posters, which have a kind of fun element to it. Just do loads of different things in order to capture as much audience as possible and really play to how people like to receive information. And I think that's really key, just ensuring that we are not just doing kind of one type of awareness piece, but we are trying to really touch upon as many people as possible.
What does security culture mean to you?
Wow. It means helping people to understand security best practices that affect them in their personal day-to-day lives. And I think having that as the center point of a company culture, just from the outset, of course, companies do have kind of different cultural values, but having security at the heart of that means that it's just the forefront of everyone's minds. It doesn't have to be, that security training, 5 minutes of understanding this knowledge and then go on to your day-to-day jobs. Really having that as embedded as part of the culture, having your executives, your board members embrace the culture, your VPs, your heads of department, really celebrating security. And rather than it being a blocker, it's just really part of everyone's day-to-day lives. I think that's really awesome. And it also just means that the security department, which generally doesn't scale as big as other departments, such as your kind of member-facing departments, means that everyone is a security champion, everyone is an ambassador, and it really does help that security department to just work and touch upon various different areas. At Tide, we are based in primarily the UK, India, and Bulgaria. So it's really important that in all of my efforts, that the security culture touches upon all the locations that we're based in. So this is kind of really getting to the heart of security culture from when people are onboarded, so they really understand, okay, cool, this is what we do at Tide. Security is really important, not an afterthought, it's really at the forefront. And I even think that this role as a security culture and awareness analyst is quite forward thinking. Rather than someone coming in after an incident, a breach, and then there's a investment in the security department. What Tide has done, and what many other organisations are doing, is they're investing in having that security awareness professional in the company from the beginning, just to try and help people to understand how they can prevent security breaches and just be more informed. And I genuinely think that's awesome.
It's clear you're focused on security that actually works for people. What tips or tricks do you have for making that effective?
Making security fun. That is my top tip. Again, we're humans. We are at work for the majority of the day. After work, kind of want to get home and relax. So in that time where we're focused on heavy work, and you're kind of taking people's time to learn more about security, make it interesting. Again, we've all sat there watching death by PowerPoint. We don't want that type of content anymore. You want to be able to capture people's attention in a fun and engaging way. You also want to ensure that your InfoSec department, your security teams are approachable. If there is anything that your workforce wants to learn more about, make sure that you're available. Tips like having office hours available, having a channel that has everyone easily accessible, creating a really easy incident response card, or way people that can report things that they think that are suspicious or want a little bit more information on. Just having easy access to your team and letting people be curious if they want to be curious with you.
Is there any particular piece of content that you found landed really well? And if so, could you tell us about it, please?
I think the bi-weekly InfoSec Insights discussions that we do, I think particularly impactful because they only last 15 minutes. So it really is a hard time for the presenter and for everyone joining, knowing that, okay, it's just 15 minutes, let me invest the time. I think it lands really well because the content is different bi-weekly. So a couple of weeks ago, we've had a presentation on Web 3.0. It's not specifically hard security, but people are interested in what is Web 3.0. And then there was a security element to it as well. So it does capture people's interest. Also allows people that might not know much about InfoSec, especially a growing and developing company, to just know more about this space. So that's cool. We've also done a talk about the metaverse with a security element as well. Again, these are really cool, relevant pieces of information, but we are trying to make it fun and make it security related. So that's what you can do. There's things happen in the world every day that's interesting. Bring that content into InfoSec and try to make it relevant.
Could you tell us about your background and any things you might have done sort of prior to your career in cyber that have contributed to shaping your values?
Well, so I've been working for 11 years and mainly in banking. So I started off as a kind of bank teller, not really knowing what I wanted to do. And then one day I was confronted with a fraudster who came in with like a falsified death certificate in order to gain access to someone's account and then have the funds. And I thought that was really interesting. It really sparked my interest, and that was my first exposure of, what we know as financial crime. Then I decided to study law to further my career within the financial crime space. Studying law because I just wanted to understand the theory behind financial crime and money laundering. Whilst I was doing that, I also took up becoming a Met Police Special Constable. So a Special Constable is someone who has all of the police powers but volunteers their time to kind of act as a police officer. And this was really interesting because whilst I was studying law, I was able to understand the theory behind, financial crimes and just crime in general, as well as practice it when I was volunteering. And that was really eye-opening, getting exposure from both ends, being able to just see how and understand how people operate, why people do what they do, why having a good exposure, I guess, to victims of crime as well as perpetrators of crime. And that eventually led me into getting into the financial crime space, working within a bank's financial crime team, which is really interesting. And then as kind of financial crime touches upon cyber crimes, I found myself here, it's just all been a natural development. And again, with all of my experience of working with various different people, as I said, from victims to suspects to perpetrators of crime, I think I'm well versed in understanding why people do what they do. It's really like I'm really interested in that kind of human behaviours, I guess, which I think this is why it's like a perfect role for me to work within kind of the security awareness space, because I have such good understanding of people and wanting to help people be more educated in security awareness.
Thanks for coming down. It's been great talking to you.
Thanks for having me.
To find out more about the great work that Shak's been doing and all things PeepSec, please visit peepsec.com. See you next time.